Next we got problem 2, which I think is the crime one. Yeah. So okay, so the alibi one. So yeah, this one says Farmer John has like G farms, like G vandalized properties. And then he's basically interrogating the cows, and they're like, he interrogates his N cows and says, hey, I know one of you has been like committing crimes on my property. And then okay, no, we are on silver 2 right now. So this one is like, he interrogates his N cow, he's like, hey, who did it? And then he's like, and then the cow's like, no, I didn't do it, because I was here instead. So each of them has like an alibi of a specific time. And it basically says, the question is basically which of the N cows so which cows have to be innocent? So basically our input goes as follows. We have like a cow at like 0,0 that is been vandalized at time 100. We have another cow at another land at 50,0, which has been vandalized at time 200. And then we got a bunch of cows, or where they said they were at certain times. So first, let's start off with the first cow, who says he was at 0,50 at time 50. Which means that he has to have basically been able to go from the previous vandalism slot to the current vandalism slot, and then from the current vandalism slot to the next vandalism slot in the allotted time. So previous vandalism slot does not exist, so we can ignore that. Current vandalism slot to next vandalism slot is 50 to 100. Which, is this possible? Yes, this is possible, because the distance is exactly 50, and he moves it like, you move it like 1 meter per second or something. So yes, this first cow is possibly guilty. The second cow is at 1,000, 1,000. So he's way out here. There's no way he could have gone to. And he was at that time, he was here at time 0. So once again, there's no previous vandalism spot. So he has to go to the first. He would have to have been able to go from here all the way down here in 100 seconds, but he is way too far to have possibly done that. So he is innocent. The third cow was like, dang, I was literally at the site of the vandalism at the same time that the vandalism happened, which is really stupid. So he's like 50. He was at 50,0 at time 200. Also, I'm really smart, and I put this in a terrible position. 0,50 t equals a 50, like this. Yes, and then so our third cow is here. So if our cow has been caught at the same time that vandalism occurred, you basically just want to make sure that is he at the same position or not? And that's a pretty easy check, and in this case it returns, I think he's guilty. And the last one, 10,0 at time 170. So this means that he would have had to have been able to travel from 0 to 10,0 in 70 seconds. make sense. But you'd also have to have been able to travel from 10 to 50 in 30 seconds, which does not make sense. So 4 is innocent. So this sort of shows us a pattern here where basically what we're doing is we are starting from like the first, we're basically trying to go from the previous to the next. So we check if like the Cartesian distance is like feasible to go from like the previous vandalism spot to the current place. So we would want like, let's say we have like T1, T, and then T2. So we want the distance over here to be equal to like T minus T1, be less than or equal to T minus T1, and then the distance for over here, this distance would have to be less than or equal to T2 minus T. So we just need to make sure that both of these are satisfied. We can find whether or not where T belongs within like our list of vandalism spots with a binary search tree. For each cow. So we basically just store all of our points in a binary search tree sorted by time, and then we basically just use like lower bound or whatever to find which cow it's after or something. And if it turns out that we're at the beginning, we don't, if T1 doesn't exist, we can ignore it. And if T2 doesn't exist, we can also ignore it and just consider one of the two relationships that we have. And the final case is if like T equals to something, then what we would have is essentially just check if locations are same. And yeah, this is just it. And yes, distance is the Euclidean or Cartesian or Pythagorean distance. If you used Manhattan distance on this problem, I am paying my respects. Very unfortunate. But yeah, that's basically it for this problem. This one's like a simpler one.